shelf, and the woman, I'm forgetting her name, just thinks it's pretty sweet, pretty charming. As Enid, of course, in Ghost World, appropriates that fetish mask, that bondage trinket from the sex shop. And again, it seemed to me there was this sort of discussion about what's natural and what's cultural. On the level of sexuality, you seem to be kind of worrying over this question of whether you could ever get back, as Rocky has no interest in the waterfall, whether you could ever get back to some sort of pure Rocky and the waterfall relationship to your own sexual being.
I think, as a teenager, I had very, I did not have a lot of sexual experience, and so I had a very, it was certainly glamorized and glorified. I thought of women as being much more, sort of demure about the whole thing. And then going to art school, I met the most, foul-mouthed bunch of, art chicks who turned my head around with that. To me, it was something that I never really saw much in any kind of fiction. It was, I think the worldview is much more like what I had as a teenager, and the reality, at least in my little, world, is much more the kind of thing I was depicting. That is really just a response to that, to depict it as it was. I found women were much more comfortable with this sexual stuff, and all the men I knew were much more, nervous about it, and who wanted to sort of almost preserve their weirdness toward it because it made it more exciting. It was less exciting to make it, just this free-for-all orgy out there, and it's much more weird to have this kind of furtive thing. Well, but I'm not talking about myself.
To sort of stay on this topic, but make it a bit more general, I'm really interested in the pleasure you take in what I guess I want to call mannerism. The fact that human beings cloak their behavior and their impulses in style. And it's something that from the very beginning with Lloyd Llewellyn, and your kind of extremely loving mockery of beatnik poserdom, that you seem to be drawn to articulate the innumerable ways. Brandon Wilder is another great example. He's cloaked himself in this sort of mantle of the observer, the poet who's on the margins, very understanding, very
the town eccentric.
And again and again, you seize on this place where people bring themselves into a relationship to other human beings by dressing up and deciding, gee, 1957 is my year, and everything from 1957 is just dandy, and I'm going to wear that on my sleeve, or whatever year or style or motif they pick, and the characters seem to me to share the observer characters, like Enid, seem to me to share your ambivalence. They both mock human beings with propensity, but they're very drawn to it.
They're involved in it.
Enid at one point even says that she wishes she could find a way to dress that would just be the one way. She would wear those clothes forever, and then her problems would be solved. And it's as if she herself wants to become one of your, beatnik posers.
Right. Yeah. No. I certainly went through that as a kid. My parents were very much opposed to any kind of system, whether it was a religious system or they didn't really impose any way of thinking. I didn't really even figure out that my parents were Democrats till I was 18. Oh, yes, they voted. They did have Nixon, I recall. And so I think I was always looking for some kind of a system or a way, a crowd, a scene. Especially moving to New York, you have this feeling. You walk around every corner, and there will be like the coolest store in the world that sells, rare Japanese comics from 1931, or you just have this feeling that you're always going to find the cool thing that you don't yet know about. And then at a certain point, I realized that the cool things didn't necessarily exist, and I realized a lot of the comics and things like that I liked. That I didn't especially like them. I liked the idea that they imply.